All right, today we're doing something, well, kind of crazy. We're going to try and squeeze the entire 4.5 billion year history of planet Earth into just a few minutes. Yeah, you heard that right. To even wrap our heads around that, we've got to think on a totally different scale. So let's just dive right in. I mean, think about that number 4.5 billion years. Our brains, they just can't really grasp that. It's not what they're built for. This is what scientists call deep time. So to make this journey possible, we're going to need a little help, a really powerful analogy. Okay, picture this. We're all on a train together, a train ride through time. And as we're looking out the window, Earth's entire history is just flashing by. Now, this is a fast train. Every single second that takes by, that's 1.5 million years gone. So sit back, relax. The train is leaving the station. Our trip into deep time begins right now. So where do we even begin? Well, our first stop, or maybe I should say our starting point, is the Hadean Eon. This is baby Earth. And let me tell you, it was a period of just unimaginable violence and creation that went on for 500 million years. Yeah, the name pretty much says it all, right? The Hadean. Named after Hades, the Greek god of the underworld. It was a literal hellscape. Try to imagine a giant, glowing ball of lava under a thick, choking, poisonous sky made of carbon dioxide. Oh, and if that wasn't bad enough, the early solar system was basically a cosmic shooting gallery, and Earth was right in the crosshairs, getting pummeled by a constant rain of asteroids. So what were the big events in this chaotic era? Well, pretty soon after it was born, Earth got absolutely slammed by a planet-sized object named Theia. We're talking something as big as Mars. The collision was so catastrophic, it blasted a huge cloud of debris into orbit, and that debris eventually clumped together to become our moon. After a while, that crazy asteroid storm finally started to calm down. The planet cooled off just enough for water vapor to turn into liquid, kicking off a rainstorm that lasted for millions of years. And I mean millions. That's what formed our very first oceans. Okay, so as the fire and the cosmic rain finally died down, we leave that Hadean hellscape behind. We're now entering a new, incredibly long period. And, from the outside, it might look pretty quiet, pretty boring. But for the next 3 billion years, the most important story on the planet belongs to a hidden, invisible empire. Now, this is a point that's so easy to just gloss over, but it's absolutely crucial. Once life got started, it spent billions of years, I'm talking billions with a B, as nothing more than tiny single-celled organisms. If you were looking at Earth from space, it would have just looked like a dead, barren rock. But down in those early oceans, a quiet revolution was brewing. And these seemingly tiny little steps, they were laying the foundation for everything, and I mean everything, that came after. The very first cells probably sparked to life near those deep-sea hydrothermal vents. We can even see their fossilized leftovers in these cool structures called stromatolites. And then came a real game changer, photosynthesis. Life literally figured out how to eat the sun. And this was all happening while the planet itself was rearranging its furniture as the first tectonic plates started moving around and forming the very first continents. But one of these little microbial inventions, it wasn't just another step forward. Oh no, this was an event so massive, so profound, it was about to change the entire planet, permanently. They call it the Great Oxidation Event. What happened was, these tiny organisms, cyanobacteria, started pumping out a waste product, and that waste was oxygen. For the very first time, this gas started flooding the atmosphere. It reacted with all the methane up there, a really powerful greenhouse gas, and basically just ripped away the planet's warm blanket. So what happens? Temperatures absolutely plummeted, and the entire globe froze over, a snowball Earth. And the change was total. I mean, the early atmosphere was completely alien to us. No free oxygen, totally toxic. After this event, the air was full of it. But here's the crazy part. The real irony? For most of the life that existed back then, oxygen was a deadly poison. It caused the planet's very first mass extinction. But by killing off the old guard, it cleared the way for a whole new kind of life to evolve. Life that could breathe. And now, we wait. An almost incomprehensible amount of time just passes. We're watching the clock on our train ride tick by for what feels like an eternity. For almost another billion years, life is just still single-celled. And then, finally, the next big leap happens. Okay, so the seeds of complexity are finally being planted. Eukaryotic cells pop up. These are cells with a proper nucleus, basically the blueprint for every animal and plant you've ever seen.
Deep inside the planet, the inner core solidifies, which cranks up our protective magnetic shield. Then, algae invents sexual reproduction, which just throws gasoline on the fire of evolution. And to top it all off, the first predators appear, kicking off a massive evolutionary arms race that's going to push life to get bigger, faster, and smarter.
All right, you're going to want to hold on tight now. We're entering the last 500 million years of our journey, and the train is about to hit the accelerator. Things are about to get big, complex, and very, very violent.
And it all kicks off with something called the Cambrian explosion. Seriously, in what is basically the blink of an eye in geological time, life just goes from simple to absolutely spectacular. The fundamental blueprints for almost every animal group we know today. We're talking everything from bugs to us. They all just appear in this one incredible creative burst.
And from that point on, the pace is just relentless. Plants invade the land, creating actual soil for the very first time. The first animals with backbones drag themselves out of the water. Huge, dense forests pop up during the Carboniferous period. You know, the ones that became the coal we're burning today. And all the while, the continents are crashing into each other, forming one giant supercontinent, Pangaea.
But you gotta remember, life's journey isn't some straight line of progress. It's a brutal cycle of creation and then catastrophe. You have the Permian extinction. They call it the Great Dying for a reason. It was the worst of all time. A volcanic apocalypse that wiped out something like 90% of all species. And then way later, of course, you've got the famous one, the asteroid that took out 75% of life and, well, closed the book on the dinosaurs.
But after the Great Dying, life did what it always does. It bounced back, and the world was inherited by a new dynasty, the reptiles. For an insane 150 million years, the dinosaurs evolved, they diversified, and they became the absolute undisputed rulers of this planet.
The planet was just a thriving paradise of giants. It really must have seemed like their reign would go on forever. But out there in the dark of space, a 6-mile-wide rock had other plans. It was on a collision course, ready to bring the age of dinosaurs to a fiery, freezing end. And that single impact, that's the start of our final chapter, the last 66 million years, the age of mammals. You could say, it's our time. Look, that asteroid was obviously a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day for the dinosaurs. But for our ancestors, it was the opportunity of a lifetime. For millions and millions of years, these tiny, furry mammals had been scurrying around in the shadows, just trying not to get stepped on. But with the giants gone, they could finally come out into the light. And they diversified, they grew bigger, and they inherited an empty world. And here we are. We're pulling into the final station on our trip. 4.5 billion years have flashed by. The continents look just like they do on a map. Mammals are in charge. And it's only in the absolute, final, tiniest fraction of a second of our journey that we show up. So whatever you do, don't blink. Let this sink in. All of it. All of recorded human history. The pyramids, the Roman Empire, Shakespeare, the moon landing, the internet. Everything you've ever learned about in a history book, it all fits into a sliver of time so small it's basically invisible. It's just 5,000 years against a backdrop of 4.5 billion. We just got here. And just like that, our journey through deep time is over. We've seen a planet born in fire, we've seen life stubbornly cling on and grow, we've seen these unbelievable explosions of creativity, and we've seen world-ending disasters. And after witnessing this entire epic, incredible story, you're left with just one big, lingering question, aren't you? After 4.5 billion years, what will our fleeting moment leave behind?